Welcome to Beyond Bite Wings, the business side of dentistry, brought to you by Edwards & Associates PC. Join us as we discuss how to build your dental practice, optimize your income, and plan for your future. This podcast is distributed with the understanding that Edwards & Associates PC is not rendering legal, accounting, or professional advice. Listeners should consult with their business advisors before acting on any of the information that is shared. At Edwards & Associates PC, our business is the business of dentistry. For help or more information, visit our website at enassociates.com. Hello and welcome to another episode of Beyond Bite Wings. My name is Ash, and in today's episode, we will be talking about the subject matter of marketing. Many dental practice owners believe that launching their practice is the hardest part, but then comes the challenge of actually growing it and attracting the right patients. With new dental offices opening on every corner, standing out in a crowded market can feel overwhelming. On top of that, the rapid evolution of social media and AI-driven marketing can leave even the most tech-savvy business owners struggling to keep up. So, how do you rise above that noise? How much should you be investing in marketing? And what strategies can truly set you apart from the competition? In this special episode, we have compiled insights from industry experts like Darren, who's the CEO of Thrive Reviews, Aaron Greger, the founder of Pod Growth, and Brandon Hubbard, the founder of Pain-Free Dental Marketing. You'll discover how to leverage the Google 3-pack for maximum visibility, build an authentic brand that attracts the right patients, and make smart investments in SEO and digital marketing. If you're ready to take your dental practice to the next level, this episode is packed with actionable strategies you won't want to miss. I tell myself, okay, you know what? I need to be present on social media. So how should I go about this?
Okay, so there's a couple ways to look at it, and how I explain it to clients. You've got content, which is your first piece. You look at it as a video you see, written, or podcast, and that's how we connected. It was through podcasts. So that is content, and that's you create. So a lot of, especially like people like dentists or a more commodity type business, they'll be like, well, what do I talk about? Well, I bet you $1 million if you sat down and asked your staff or if asked somebody, you're going to have questions that people are always asking you about, things that people are confused about. Why do I need to come in every 6 months? Why is this recommended? All of these things. And if you made that list, that's kind of your start of what should I be talking about? And that's your content. The social media, I always describe it as if you had a car. So the content's like the body of the car, right. But it's the wheels that's the social media. So that's how it's going to get places, right? So that's how you're using social media to connect and people to find you and all of those. And that's just, social media from a kind of high overview. But then it's like, okay, so what should I be talking about and all that? And the content of the questions are what makes you different. So are you are you more focused on natural? All right. So what are those things that people are always talking about? Well, why shouldn't I use fluoride? Well, that's a whole post right there, or a piece of content right there of why you don't recommend using fluoride if you don't. Right. Why do you do less x-rays? What are the things that and so you're just educating your clients. And when they find you on social media through that content, they're like, ooh, this person gets me. I like what they have to say. And it's that whole cycle of creating what makes you stand out and then getting people to notice what makes you stand out. I think that's a big thing with dentists. I see especially dental practice owners is like I was telling you, they hire these people that, we're going to do 3 posts for you a week. But there's no rhyme or reason behind the post. They literally take the same picture. And I know that for a fact they do this. They take the same picture and post it throughout every single person that they work for. So you're not standing out at all. You're a checkbox.
I see.
So I think it's really important to understand, how can I be, obviously we're unique. I feel I'm unique. So what can I do through social media to let people know that we are different, and why, if there's four dentists that are across the corner from each
Uh-huh.
other, what makes us different and why you'd want to come see us.
Okay. So I do understand that, that should be the main goal you're aiming for, which is stand yourself out, let the world know that
Yeah.
you're educated and knowledgeable about a certain topic. Make sure it's not redundancy, right? It's a topic that your audience is willing to read about or listen to. But at the same time, I'm also thinking of it from the benefit standpoint of the business. Like, again, if I'm strictly looking at it as a tool that will help me, let's say, increase my revenue or, get new patients, what should be the first stepping stone? Like, should I look at, should I open up a business account on all the platforms?
No. So you want to, A, understand your budget, B, understand your resources from your time perspective and what you're willing to do. And then really focus on, all right, where are my clients going to be? And what are we willing to create? Are you willing to do video? Because if you are, that's going to push you more towards a TikTok or, a more video heavy place versus if you're just, wanting to do standard photos and written. I wouldn't even recommend Facebook at this point, but maybe that's the playground you want to play in a little bit more.
Right.
So you want to understand, all right, what am I willing to do? What am I comfortable doing? And then the last thing you want to be is be everywhere. And then you don't show up anywhere. Does that make sense? So you're spreading yourself thin. Now, I would go lock out an account of every place, like just lock out my name maybe on TikTok, even though I know I have no plan to use it yet.
So nobody else could use it.
Exactly.
Right.
So you can at least block that out. But then I would really focus on one, maybe two social channels that you're really going to go, that you can post at least a couple times a week. You know how you're going to use that. Your clients are there too, right? So where do I think my clients are going to be versus just trying, because this is the popular one, but focus on those two aspects and then work that, build a system around it, hire somebody to do it, whatever you want to do, and then expand as you get those systems down.
What do you think is a fair amount of time to spend or to put in to social media management per week or per month?
Yeah. So I always like to do the rule of like an hour a day.
Okay.
So, an hour planning your content, and you can just do an hour creating content, like, especially if you're just going to do videos or something, like you can do, or what I would probably do is like, I would have something that's going up on my website personally, like once a week, even just so I can drive that and then utilizing that to be part of my social. So maybe I'm writing an article about X and then my social is going to align with that. Right. So maybe we're doing some videos on that or something along those lines. So like an hour for, creation, an hour for planning, an hour for the actual like posting of it. It takes more time than you think it's going to, just writing up the posts and publishing them. And then, you do want to spend time and make time aside for, are people commenting on your stuff? Are people engaging with you? That's going to help your algorithm if you're replying back to them and, you're actually conversing with them and thanking them and being a part of that. So you want to have somebody dedicated for that. And the other side too, and I didn't mention this, I would utilize, and this may be where Facebook plays too, are reviews. Like, are they leaving reviews through social media? Are they talking about that, encouraging people to review you? And again, that's going to help the algorithm for you. But I would be making sure that's part of your time spent too.
Okay.
Maybe you won't use the full hour if you're not doing like extensive podcasts or stuff like that. But I think if you can just kind of brace that aside or have somebody from your staff that's part of what they do, that would help too.
I think that in short, my answer comes down to a stylistic approach, if you will, of how to determine if you're paying too much for marketing. And I think the first one is, the monetary answer is your total marketing budget generally falls somewhere between 3 and 5%. But I will say the first one is, let's assume the marketing budget is somewhere around 3 to 5% of collections. And then I think we also have to agree what marketing is.
Right.
And to me, when I say marketing, I mean the summation of the branding, the cost of website, the cost of review management, any social ads that we're doing, any content generation cost around, photo shoot or video shoot. And then, of course, at the cost of advertising. So what you would pay Google or what you would pay Facebook or someone else. So when I think of that budget, I think of if you sponsor your kid's softball team, I think that's marketing. Now, I would have to call that a donation because I've never heard of a patient coming from it. But again, I would have to put that under the marketing bucket, right? Would you say that we're agreeing on the definition, or it?
No, I
your
do
firm-
agree. No, I completely agree. Yes. So
Right.
any expense that will help with enhancing the revenue per se can be considered as marketing or a business promotional expense.
Yeah. So under that premise, if you will, of the 3 to 5%, I think there's a performance answer and there's an emotional answer. I think that there are certain KPIs that I would look at to determine if a general dentist was overspending on marketing. The first one being, how much does a phone call cost?
That's right.
And I would want to be, somewhere in the, depending on how competitive the industry is there, the area they're in is, somewhere between $50 to $100 per call of qualified new patient call. I'm not just talking, any random call. And assuming they close about 30 to 50% of them, which is below where I personally want it to be, but tends to be about the average, you can then extrapolate out that a new patient should cost, from $200 to $300. And I think that's probably the key KPI that I think you could look at and say, if my cost per call or my cost per new patient is north of that, somewhere in the summation of that marketing definition, there's some kind of problem to diagnose.
Right. That one singular component of marketing.
Yeah. Now, I will say that I love, Mark Twain has one of my favorite quotes, and there are 3 lies. There are, lies, damned lies, and statistics. As a marketer, I do see a lot of companies present information that says how much your website's improving and how much social presence you've gained, but yet your new patients are falling. And I do think that there's, truthfully, when I'm engaged in dialogue on how much is my marketing and what's my marketing team doing for me, and this is what they said, and this is what I see, and an SEO company reached out to me and said this, or that. There's typically an emotional response there of the dentist doesn't feel like the marketing team is working hard for them, or they don't feel like they don't have confidence they're working in the right path. I think if you get there and you don't feel confident in your team, you don't trust what the team is saying to you, you're not getting at a minimum a monthly update of what's going on, a face-to-face, or Zoom, if you will, conversation. I honestly think you're spending too much on marketing. Now, there's no number behind that, but if you can't look at your marketing team and say you believe them and they're consistently meeting with you, I think any amount is too much. I think they need to stay in touch. And we've seen in 2023, and it's been trending this way for several years, but the rise of content being king can't be understated. I think that we as marketers are trying to generate more content, and even look at our podcast, right? Like, we're trying to generate more podcasts and to get more exposures and things like that. And a dentist office is the same. They need to be celebrating big cases and taking pictures before and afters and full face and capturing 2 or 3 minutes of the patient talking about their experience. And that needs to be put on the website. That needs to be put on Facebook. That needs to be put on Instagram. So marketing is not this passive thing that a dentist hires and, I'm paying. The days of paying $300 and doing SEO are gone. I don't know what $300 in SEO would buy you today. Probably nothing. And it's really turned into a content game. So to me, the marketing expense today is less around the advertising cost and more around the branding and the connection and the celebration of big treatments, the demonstration of excellence that a dentist does.
Mm-hmm.
I think that that's where we've seen 2023, and as a function, that's where the money goes, right? The money has shifted from big Google ad spends and big boosted posts to the generation of content and the demonstration of excellence.
And you actually pointed out something interesting there, that no marketing expense is worthwhile if you cannot get some FaceTime, some form of FaceTime about, let's say, once a month with your marketing company. It shouldn't be a passive company. It should be, someone that's valued, right? Or in other words, that marketing company should be valuing you. And that's where you will feel like, the amount that I'm putting in per month is worthwhile because, I'm actually getting to see a person or talk to a person, and go over numbers or go over what needs to change or what needs more attention.
Why would I assume you're the greatest dentist on the planet if I've never met you?
Mm-hmm.
What does happen when I walk through the front desk and see furniture that it has tears in the cushions or something like that needs to be replaced, or the front desk that has, the worst sign in the world is the cancellation policy signs. The people who cancel, they're not even in the practice to see the sign. Like, why are you showing me, the good patient, the sign?
Right.
All of those things are marketing to me.
Now, I guess what we're both understanding here and we're trying to convey to our listeners is that marketing is not like a magic sauce that you pay for it and then magically numbers will change. It's a joint effort, right? The tools will be provided by the marketing company. And yes, there's a lot of work that goes on the back end, as Eric mentioned when we started the podcast, that a lot of times we don't see. And even if there's a monthly phone call conversation, how often are we going to talk about the nitty gritty about, how those SEOs were done and what was used to edit the content? The big picture is painted, right? But understand that a lot of work goes in, a lot of people put in their time to make all of these things happen.
If your marketing team is pushing free specials and $39 new patient specials, which are terrible, by the way, and you're like, I hate that. I think $1 spent on marketing is too much. The content that's generated for the site, the style of pictures that is generated, the social posts need to reflect your style. And if it doesn't, that's $2 is too much to spend on marketing.
Mm-hmm.
And dentists like to say, well, I just want what works. Well, if there's a dirty little secret in dental marketing, it's this. I can't sell a cosmetic case to a patient. I can sell the connection of you and your approach to dentistry and your story of why you became a dentist and other cases you've done in the demonstration of excellence to a patient. And then you can sell them the treatment.
Mm-hmm.
But a patient is investing in the relationship with the dentist and they're assuming the level of quality will be there. Now, when you get into the all on fours and all on X's, I admit that this is a little bit different, but for your general dentist, it is a connection that you're selling because there's any number of ways to replace a tooth. I'm not selling an implant. I'm selling a tooth replacement. I'm unhappy with my smile. And we want a dentist that we connect with.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what marketing needs to represent. And that's why I say the emotional side of you need to have a connection with your marketing team because they are not just technical building your site. They represent your brand, and part of your identity is certainly wrapped up in your brand if you're a dentist.
And it's interesting because, the first thing that pops up isn't the customer's website.
No, really.
It's their Google business profile. It's that profile that Google creates for you for free on their map app.
Mm.
So I'll give you an example. Open up your browser on your computer, type in dental practice near me. You're going to see a few ads, and then you're going to see 3 listings from the Google Maps. And that's called the 3-pack. That's the Google Map 3-pack. It lists those 3 top businesses that relate to what you're searching for that are pulled from Google Maps. And those are Google business profiles. So we then started realizing we need to shift our attention to optimizing those Google profiles because the customer is not looking at the website first. They're looking at the Google profile first, and then they're going to the website. Now, it doesn't mean you shouldn't have a website because Google is going to literally crawl everything that's connected to your Google profile. So like, for example, you can connect all your social profiles to your Google business profile, and you can connect your website. So if your social profiles and your website are out of date or old or not active, Google's going to think that your business isn't active. They're going to think that you're not legit, that you're not what this customer is looking for. This customer wants a Mexican restaurant. Well, if your Mexican restaurant hasn't had a review in 6 months, and you haven't posted anything on social media in 6 months, and you haven't changed your website in 2 years or added anything to your website in 2 years, Google's not going to list you in that top 3. Especially with the pandemic, with so many businesses shutting down, they don't know what's open and what's not. And the only way they know what's open and what's not is by your activity on those different apps, right? So it's really interesting. There's this whole new science that's developed around optimization of a Google business profile and getting that profile to pop up in the top 3 organically without spending any money on ads.
So how often do you think reviews need to come in for a business for Google to think that it is currently active?
That's a really good question. So the first answer to that question is more than your closest competitor.
I see. Okay.
Right. So like I'll give you an example. I have an urgent care customer that's in Northwest Florida, right? And they have right now about 6,000 reviews, right? And they're getting reviews at such a fast rate that their competitors, their closest competitor is at about 150 reviews. Right.
Wow.
So every day they get anywhere from 10 to 20 reviews. Why? Because they have a very specific strategy in place, and they know exactly when to ask for a review. And they have a very simple method that we put in place for them to ask for that review. And then we also automate the ask for reviews. So we send a text and an email to all the clients that leave. So once they check out and they walk out the door, a text and email will get sent to them asking them to leave a review. But the receptionist will do the same thing. And what they've done is they've implemented a bonus program. So when you get a review and you work for this organization, you get a $10 bonus. So if I'm at reception and I'm seeing 100 patients a day, I can make some money.
That's right.
I can probably make more than my hourly pay if I ask and get reviews from everybody. So it's a strategy. It is a marketing strategy that they've worked into their marketing budget to pay their staff to get them reviews. Why? Because if you go to anywhere within a 25-mile radius of that business and type in urgent care, boom, they're number 1. Optimizing your Google profile, let's kind of take a big picture at where you start here. Overall, what you need to do is, the first thing you need to do is you need to make sure the name in your Google business profile is a match for what you need or what your business is.
Okay.
And then you need to make sure that your category is proper. A lot of people just randomly pick a category. You don't want to do that. You want it to be a very specific category that targets what you're offering. And then you can pick up to 5 different subcategories. I recommend keeping it simple and only picking 3. We've seen people get lost when they start getting into the 4 and 5. Pick 3 subcategories that match. And if there are not 3 subcategories that match, then only pick the ones that do. If it's 2, if it's 1, that's fine. You want to hone in on what your category is. Right? Because that's what Google's going to do. And then you want to make sure your description is properly written using highly targeted keywords, and use every single word you can in that description. Google gives you a very specific number of words that you can put in your description. You want to use every single one of those, right? I think the number here, let me see what the actual number, you have 750 characters. Use 750 characters. If you need to go to ChatGPT and ask it to write it for you, then do that. Say, hey, ChatGPT, I am a driver ed school in Seattle, Washington, and I want to write my 750 character Google business profile description. Can you please write this and put all the keywords that we need into it? Boom. And then you'll get a nice 750 character word written description. Go in there and reword it all you need, and then post that into your Google profile. So those are the key things that I recommend doing. And then also using your Google link, Google review link. There's an ask for review link in your Google profile. Turn that into QR codes. Give that to every one of your staff that are going to ask for reviews, and have them go to that QR code.
Thanks for listening today. Be sure to subscribe to Beyond by Wings on your favorite podcast platform. For more information, you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn, or reach out to us on our website. You can also shoot us an email at info@eandassociates.com.